Welcome to another rendition of the Bible study live stream, podcast, you name it. Whatever it is what it is. Today, I'll be honest with you, today, I had to go deep into the belly of the beast that is the Bible and really start to understand what this thing was about, because it's a quick passage, but it leaves you with you're like, wait, hold on. So I had to do some studying today. This edition is brought to you by Blue Bottle Coffee that you can find at your local grocery store. It's actually not, but it's pretty good. They were out. I couldn't get the other stuff, the Intelligentsia, and so we got this, and it's pretty good. But you had to do I had to do like a 1-to-19 ratio. If you know anything about coffee, and if you know anything about me, you know I'm a coffee snob, and I'm kind of bougie with my coffee. I wish I was a little bit bougie. I'm not like super bougie, but I'm bougie enough. And so, anyways, that's enough about that. It is probably my second favorite coffee. I've bought a lot of store brand coffees, and not many are that good. Not many are that good. Intelligentsia, Blue Bottle, Blue Bell, something like that. I don't know what it's called, but it's something like that. But we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. We're gonna be in Mark chapter 9, verses 2 through 13. So we're going to go ahead and get started reading out of the New Living Translation. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. 6 days later, Jesus took Peter, James, and John and led them up a high mountain to be alone. As the men watched, Jesus' appearance was transformed, and his clothes became dazzling white, far whiter than any earthly bleach could ever make them. Then Elijah and Moses appeared and began talking with Jesus. Peter exclaimed, "Rabbi, it's wonderful for us to be here. Let's make 3 shelters as memorials, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He said this because he didn't really know what else to say, for they were all terrified. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my dearly beloved son. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, Moses and Elijah were gone, and they saw only Jesus with them. As they went back down the mountain, he told them not to tell anyone what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept it to themselves, but they often asked each other what he meant by rising from the dead. Then they asked him, "Why do the teachers of religious law insist that Elijah must return before the Messiah comes?" Jesus responded, "Elijah is indeed coming first to get everything ready. Yet, why did the scriptures say that the Son of Man must suffer greatly and be treated with utter contempt? But I tell you, Elijah has already come, and they chose to abuse him, just as the scriptures predicted." Now, I've been reading through the book of Mark for about a minute now, and I have not seen anything about Elijah, which was a prophet in the Old Testament, coming back. So I had to do a little digging, because I was like reading those. I'll be honest. I was like, I kind of want to skip this this question, but that's just me being honest. Like I don't know the Bible as well as I could. I don't know as well as I should, and I definitely don't know it as much as other people. And so I get into this place of like I'm not the best, but I'm me, and I'm trying, and I'll be one of the first to admit that, hey, I might get this wrong. This is just what I found when I looked at a couple commentaries. I looked at my boy Constable. I looked at his notes, what he said, all this stuff. But we're gonna just break down this whole thing. So they go up on this mountain. Good morning. My sweetie is up. You want to join me real quick? She is like not. She's dressed, but she's like looking crazy. But I love her though. So they go up on this mountain, right? And Jesus is like, I don't know what the transfiguration means, but basically like he becomes like Super Saiyan. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, becomes Super Saiyan, transforms, clothes become dazzling white, and then Elijah and Moses, two great Hebrew prophets, leaders, whatever you want to call them, they come as like this magnificent thing. So they know that these two individuals are dead, long gone. And so that probably freaks them out a little bit. And I remember a pastor. It wasn't like a pastor like a church I went to. I think it was dude with the glasses, kind of hipster, millennial pastor. I can't think. Judah Smith. I think it was Judah Smith. Yeah. I was listening to a sermon he was doing on the Transfiguration. This was a long time ago, 3, 4, or 5 years ago. And he said, at this moment that like when the cloud came down, it basically, and this is just his interpretation of it, it basically covered Peter, telling Peter to shut up, because it's like this holy moment. Because it says, Peter exclaimed, "Rabbi, it's wonderful for us to be here. Let's make 3 shelters and memorials." And he said this because he didn't really know what else to say, for they were all terrified. So instead of Peter being quiet and not saying anything, which is so human-like, like this, something insane happens in our lives, and instead of us just being quiet, we like try to say something and just makes the silence even more awkward. I've had that happen plenty of times. I don't know if you've had it plenty of times, if you have had it happen to you, but it's definitely happened to me. And so God basically says, like, shut up, listen to him. And listen to him isn't just like hear what he has to say. Like this is more like hear what he has to say and do what he is saying. And so it's a different kind of listen to what he says. And this also confirms it, right? Like they know he's the Messiah. Like they're getting closer and closer and closer to it. But then when a cloud comes down, and it's like, yeah, this is my child, my dearly loved son. Which is, I believe this would be the second time, if I'm not mistaken, because the first time was when he was baptized. And the second time, I don't know if they actually said, "This is my dear loved son." They might have, but this is definitely like the second time. And then they look around, and Moses and Elijah were gone. And so you had this great mountain moment, and they're leaving. And the one thing that you keep hearing over and over again, because they get he's the Messiah. They get he's the Son of God. They're getting it more and more and more. The one thing where they're missing, and this is what I've been finding in my research, the one thing that they're not quite understanding yet is the fact that even though Jesus is saying explicitly, like the Son of Man must suffer and die and all that stuff, they're not quite getting it, because the messianic figure that the people of Israel have been looking for generations, they're like, this is the guy that's going to rescue us. He's going to set up his army, his kingdom, his blah, blah, blah. You know it, whatever. There's a disconnect. Like, yeah, you're saying it's more believable to them that Jesus is the Son of God than it is that Jesus is going to die. Is basically what it comes down to. So they keep asking, like, what he means. What does he mean by rising from the dead? That's why in Mark 7 or 8, when Jesus is talking about that the Son of Man and the Messiah has to suffer, and Peter goes up to him. He's like you can't let this happen. And Jesus says, "Get behind me, like get away from me, Satan," or "Get behind me, Satan." I think that's like the chapter or two before. And so they get to it, and they're like, okay. So it says in the Bible that Elijah must come. It says in the old scriptures. What do you mean Elijah has to come? What do you mean? And so to understand this, you have to go back. I'm going to pull it up for y'all to 1 Kings 19 to give you some understanding. So this is 1 Kings 19. This is 1 through I think 10. And it says, when Ahab got home, he told Jezebel everything Elijah had done, including the way he had killed all the prophets of Baal. So Jezebel sent this message to Elijah: may the gods strike me and even kill me if by this time tomorrow I have not killed you just as you killed them. Elijah was afraid and he fled for his life. He went to Beersheba, a town in Judah, and he left his servant there. Then he went on alone into the wilderness, traveling all day. He sat down under a solitary broom tree and prayed that he might die. I've had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life, for I'm no better than my ancestors who have already died. Then he lay down and slept under the broom tree. But as he was sleeping, an angel touched him and told him, get up and eat. He looked around, and there beside his head was some bread baked on hot stones and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. Then the angel of the Lord came again, touched him, and said, get up and eat some more, or the journey ahead will be too much for you. So he got up, ate and drank. And the food gave him enough strength to travel 40 days and 40 nights to Mount Sinai, the mountain of God. There he came to a cave where he spent the night. But the Lord said to him, what are you doing here, Elijah? Elijah replied, I have zealously served the Lord God Almighty. But the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too. Okay? So there's that context. And I don't know, because I haven't read 1 Kings 19, let's be honest, or 1 Kings. I don't think Elijah dies. I think he's the one that the cloud pops up. But I could be wrong on that one. So okay, so that's some insight. So that's Bathsheba? No. What's her name? Jezebel. That's Jezebel. Making a threat. And I think Jezebel's husband is like the king or something like that. So there's that. Okay? So why are we talking about that? Because then you have to look at the transfiguration in the other gospels. And so that led me to Matthew 17. And this is verse 10 through 13. Then his disciples asked him, why did the teacher of religious law insist that Elijah must return before the Messiah comes? Jesus replied, Elijah is indeed coming first to get everything ready. Who else got everything ready before Jesus came back? Or before Jesus came? It was John the Baptist. Which you don't see that. At least I didn't see that. Maybe other people do as you read this. Elijah is indeed coming first to get everything ready. So if you read that, if you're going slow with your Bible reading, and you read that, you're like, okay, you would ask like, who else is preparing things? And that would lead you to John the Baptist. But Matthew 17 says it explicitly. But I tell you, Elijah has already come, but he wasn't recognized, and they chose to abuse him. And in the same way, they will also make the Son of Man suffer. Then the disciples realized he was talking about John the Baptist. So there you go. So if you're here's a little Bible study tip. If you're reading through the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke specifically, if you read those things together, they're what smart people refer to as the synoptic Gospels. I don't know what synoptic means. I've just heard it before. But essentially what it means is like they're basically the same. John is similar, but not really the same. And so Matthew, Mark, Luke will all follow the same kind of path in storytelling. John veers off a little differently. Not to say that it contradicts or anything. It's just he focuses on different stuff. And so if you look at those, you'll see like you'll see different insights from the different authors of those three gospels. And so that should be able to help you out in your reading. So what does it say about humans? I think of Peter, and when it's crazy and you don't know what to say, just be quiet, and that's okay. You can just be quiet. What am I doing well? That's a hard one, and I don't know if necessarily there's like. I don't know if there's something necessarily that could like point to our application and life lesson. Because it's just a story. I'm not going to say like, how are you Peter in this? How are you James or John or Jesus in this? I don't know. I don't know what the application piece is here, other than the fact that Jesus was the dearly loved son. Listen to him. And when I say listen to Jesus, don't just read his words, but do what his words say. Maybe that's it. Who knows? But who knows? But that's going to do it for you for this episode of the podcast and live stream and all those other wonderful things, wherever else we are. TikTok, Instagram, who knows? But yeah, if you enjoyed it, leave a like on the video. I don't know if you can leave a like on the podcast. I should probably figure that out. But I'm Matt with So Cincy. We're glad to have you on this Friday. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. We will go out and enjoy the snow later today. We got hit with like 3-4 inches. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be fun. But you can give us a follow on social media and connect with us there. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all at So Cincy. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you maybe on Monday. I don't know. It's the day after Christmas. Yeah, we'll probably do something. Yeah. We'll do something Monday because we won't have anything Wednesday because we're going on a special little. Well, maybe I'll do a pre-record on Wednesday. But I'm taking Kristen to a very, very fancy Christmas gift. So we'll be out of town. Not out of town. We'll be in town, but not home on Wednesday. Subscribe to the channel. Love you all. Have a great weekend. Have a great Merry Christmas. Stay safe out there. If you do need to go get stuff, or if you already did, then you're good. Love y'all. Have a good one. Peace.